folk music that you play there? What is that? How do you call that folk music?
I think it was Studs Terkel who asked Big Bill Brunzi, did he consider his blues music to be folk music? And Big Bill says, well, never heard no horse.
Shake shoe bob shooby doo doo booby doo dow.
Bang! Hot dog!
Don't hesitate. It could be your ticket to a new tomorrow.
Oh, the summertime is coming, and the leaves are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will build my love a tower at the foot of yonder fountain, and all around it I'll plant flowers of the mountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If my true love, she won't go, I will surely find another to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? springtime, it is coming, and the leaves are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, with me go?
All right.
Thank you.
The show is Horses Sing None of It. My name's Ralph Litwin, and we just listened to a song by Jim Walker.
Thanks very much.
Of course, the song itself is an old Scottish song, but you put a really unique twist on it.
This was like one of the first songs that I ever heard, and there's like all the old songs, there's like different ways you can sing in, different verses you can put, and like I'll Build My Love a Tower is what I prefer, but I guess the original had I'll Build My Love a Bower, and of course a lot of people know what bowers are, but everybody knows what a tower is, so we do it with the tower. And it's like a lot of the child ballads that I like to do. It's, some of the language is a little, gone over, so we sort of like changed the words around a little bit.
Do you remember what version of it was that you first heard and decided to do?
It was such a long time ago. I actually, it was a long time ago. I actually don't remember this version. I actually heard Joan Baez sing, but there was a version done by Judy Collins, and it might have been her version that had the bower in it. It was on one of her early albums.
Mm-hmm. So where did you grow up?
Actually in Philadelphia. And way back in the 60s, without saying what year, it's like, it was like, at that time folk music was very popular. And they had folk music stations on the radio. And that's where I first heard Phil Oakes. And he did his famous The Highwayman, and it was a lot of civil rights stuff going on then. So you heard Here's to the State of Mississippi, and then there was the Kingston Trio, and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and to a lesser degree Bob Dylan in those days, because the other ones were still around doing whatever. Bob Dylan, he had such an interesting voice that they didn't do too much of him on the radio. But, and heard Joan Baez then also. And that's how I got into folk music. Because in those days, of course, they always sang like the original child ballads and things like that.
So just, this show goes to Philadelphia, so for those viewers, what neighborhood? What
South
area?
Philadelphia, and my whole family that lives in South Philadelphia.
All right.
Yes.
You want to give us another song? What song would you like to do?
This is an a cappella song, and because this is like Black History Month, and it's an old song that has traveled down like probably through years and years, and it was a sort of a work song that was done by slaves and things like that, and then it became sort of like an anthem type song in the 60s, and it's been sung by Odetta and some other people who do traditional type music. No more auction block for me, no more, no more, no more auction block for me, many thousand gone. No more driver's lash for me, no more, no more, no more driver's lash for me, many thousand gone. There'll be no more iron chains for me, no more, no more, no more iron chains for me, many 5,000 gone. No more auction block for me. No more, no more. No more auction block for me. So many thousand gone. Thank you. I particularly like a cappella songs. I like, and even when I do the folk music stuff, I always try to keep the accompaniment simple. And that serves a dual purpose. One, I don't have to work very hard on accompaniments. And I also like to keep it simple because I honestly believe that the reason I got involved with folk music and wanting to play because I really like the words. And it's not just folk music, contemporary music. And to the degree that too much accompaniment kills the words for the listener, it's sort of like disturbing. So I like for people not to remember what I do because, oh, he did a wonderful lick or he did this kind of stuff, is that it's really the words of the song that come across that mean the best.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, so, and like I say, it makes it much easier.
So what did you do when you moved out of Philadelphia?
Actually, when I was sort of like forcibly moved out of Philadelphia because I got drafted.
Uh-oh.
And it's not as bad as it sounds. Because even though I have lots of people in Philadelphia who I love and stuff like that, I didn't like the town. And it's like, I guess if people live in Deep Sewer, Iowa or something, they probably feel the same way about getting out of there. And so when the Army drafted me, it was like an opportunity. And that's how I sort of viewed it, because probably I would still be there if I hadn't got drafted. And so I went into the Army and I met a lot of interesting people. And I was in Japan for a while, in Vietnam for a while, and it was really an interesting experience. And then when I got out of the service, I made a quick stop in Philadelphia to say hello to my parents, and then I went to New York and lived with my brother for a while. And then I got a job and got an apartment, and I lived in New York for like 24 years before I moved out to Morristown here.
That was a quick 24 years.
It was quick, and they're going quicker. The 7 years I've been in Morristown have gone very quick also. You know, so it's like, seems like I've been here like 10 or 15 years, but it's only 7.
So you've played coffee houses in New Jersey and New York.
Yeah, when I was when I was in New York, I did a lot of the open mics at the coffee house and things. And when I was first learning guitar and learning how to sing and stuff like that, I really wanted to be a folk singer. But my mother, who probably a lot of people's mothers have this strong influence, she always said, you have to make sure that you make a living to support yourself. And that kind of stuff is nice for a hobby, but you need a regular job 9 to 5. And that sort of like stuck through my mind. And now it's really true because I have a mortgage and all these other things, so I really can't go out and do all this very nice fancy stuff and travel around and get $25 a night for singing a song. So I need like real money.
So if it's not too much of an imposition, what kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm a network administrator for local area networks and things like that with IBM. And it's interesting. I sort of fell into that because when I got out of the service, they had this big thing about hiring Vietnam vets and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was on this train in New York, and it's actually going for a job in Brooklyn. And I got on the wrong train, took me to the wrong part of Brooklyn, so I missed that interview. And I ended up going to an employment agency, and I got an interview with IBM, and I always remember the guy said, you know, what did you do in the Army and that other stuff? And he says, well, if you want this job, it's yours. And it's like, I didn't have any requirement, no, that was it. I had the job. And I've been there all this time.
All right, well, that was a lucky mistake.
It was a lucky mistake. It was a lucky mistake. And they must have been talking to my mother or something. There were 3 brothers in Mary, Scotland. In Mary, Scotland, there were 3. And they did cast lots which of them should go. Should go, should go. and turn robber all on the salt sea. Well, the lot it fell first upon Henry Martin, the youngest of all of the three, that he should turn robber all on the salt sea, the salt sea, the salt sea, for to maintain his two brothers and he. Well, they not been sailing but a long winter's night and part of a short winter's day, when they did espy a tall lofty ship, lofty ship, lofty ship, come a-bibbing down on them straightway. Hello, hello, cried Henry Martin, what makes your sail so high? I'm a rich merchant ship bound for fair London town, London town, London town. Would you please for to let me pass by? Oh no, cried Henry Martin, this thing it never could be. For I have turned robber all on the salt sea, the salt sea, the salt sea, for to maintain my two brothers and me. Come lower your topsail and brail up your mizzen, bring your ship under my lee, or I will give to you a full cannonball, 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 and all your dear bodies drown in the salt sea. Oh no, we won't lower our lofty topsail, or bring our ship under your lee, and you shan't take from us our rich merchant goods, merchant goods, merchant goods, nor point our bow guns to the sea. Well, broadside and at it they went, for nearly 2 hours or 3, till Henry Martin gave to them the death shot, the death shot, the death shot, and straight to the bottom went she. Sad news to old England came, sad news to fair London town. There's been a rich vessel and she's cast away, cast away, cast away, and all of her merry men drowned. Another one of my favorite old child ballads. That's nice.
So for our viewers, the child ballads were collected by somebody named Child.
Child, right. And there are a lot of them. And the thing that's interesting is that, like this song I just did, if you look up the original ballad for Henry Martin, you won't hardly recognize it. It's went through different changes. First, the old ballads had like the old English usage. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of thee and thou and all this other kind of stuff. And as it made its way, I guess, into the folk idiom over here, they changed the words so that Americans would know what they were talking about. And so the results are the same. There's a lot of death and dying, but, you know.
And killing.
And killing, lots of killing, and lots of killing, it's true. When they had the, at the Folk Project, they had the Valentine's Day show, and I was trying to come up with a song that didn't involve a lot of death and dying. It was very hard because it was supposed to be like a happy occasion, you know, things. So it was hard to do. And then I came up with a song, and somebody else did it before I got up. So I had to end up improvising something.
Well, you did well. Just out of curiosity, do you remember whose version of that you heard that inspired you to learn it?
This was, well, this particular version was the Joan Baez version, but I recently heard a countertenor, a German countertenor, who has a wonderful CD out of old English ballads, and he does actually the same version. Of course, he does it much, much higher.
Much higher than Joan Baez.
Much higher than she ever aspired to sing.
going to see Joan Baez this Friday.
Thursday, Ralph. If you go Friday, she won't be. Oh, you going to New
I'm
Brunswick?
going to New Brunswick.
Oh, she's in Morristown
Yeah.
at the community theater. So I'm going to see her Thursday. You know, and Richard Schindel,
Love
who
her.
I like.
Yeah.
He's going to be there.
For folks who want to get in touch with Jim, we should give your email address, which is vze2k297@verizon.net. And folks who can contact you by email can find out about where you're going to be performing upcoming, or...
Yeah, and I'm going to do more of that. I mean, I actually enjoy doing it. And what happens is that you move out to Jersey here, and you get caught up with the garden and the grass cutting and the dogs. And you sort of like, you trade in New York where I was, it was so much running around and stuff. And here you sort of like start to like die this apathetic death. Is the grass green? There's a brown spot. Get the Scott's turf builder. You know, there's dandelion. And I do that a lot. So I'm actually wanting to do more of the performing type things.
Good. Well, maybe there's an agent here that's watching it, wants to make you a star. You never know what could happen.
Lots of money. My mother has to be remembered for everything she ever told me, so I can quit my day job.
All right, and give us another tune, why don't you?
Okay, this is another a cappella, and I learned this from Odetta. She sang this, and this is a nice song because in the black community, churches are like almost everything. And people would go to church on Sunday, and everybody would be very holy and stuff. But meanwhile, after church, everybody was backbiting and who was going to be sleeping with who and all this kind of stuff. And this song sort of like talks about that. You may run home for a long time, run home for a long time. You may run home for a long time. I'm gonna tell you God Almighty's gonna cut you down. Go tell that a long-tongued liar. Go tell that a midnight rider. Tell the rambler, gambler, backbiter. Tell him God Almighty's gonna cut him down. Great God Almighty, let me tell you the news. My hairs was wet with the midnight dews. I been down on my bended knee, talking to the man from the Galilee. My God spoke so sweet. I thought I heard the shuffle of angels' feet. He put one hand on my head. Great God Almighty, let me tell you what he said. You may run home for a long time. Run home for a long time. You may run home for a long time. I'm gonna tell you God Almighty's gonna cut you down. Some people go to church just to signify, to try to make a date with their neighbor's wife. Well, neighbor, let me tell you, just to show as you're born, you better leave that woman, better leave her alone. Cause one of these days, you mark my words, you'll think the brother has gone to work. You walk up, knock on the door, that's all, sucker, you're not no more. Go tell that a long-tongued liar. Go tell that a midnight rider. Tell the rambler, gambler, backbiter. Tell him God Almighty's gonna cut him down.
All right. That's a
And I
lively
love that
one.
because it was sort of like true. It was sort of like true, you know? Who you meet on at Sunday on church at the little social after.
You put me on. Did you go see the Five Blind Boys from Alabama?
I didn't, because I
Man,
had to work late.
That was a great show.
I wanted to see them, and I had to because the kind of work I do, sometimes, you're on call and you have that awful beeper thing.
They had the whole audience jumping and shouting and clapping their hands. Man, what best show I've seen in a long time.
I'm sorry I missed that. Because a lot of, the community theater in Morristown, they're doing a lot of good stuff now.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see them, and they don't really, they need to advertise more, but I'm sorry I missed them.
Give us another tune, Jim.
Okay, let me see here.
Let's see. Well, actually, we've got 3 minutes left, so maybe it's time to do it.
It's time for us to do our little duet.
Our little duet.
Now,
So
remember
time
this
flies
was
when you're having fun.
G sharp here, so I don't want to screw you up and move the capo, the godsend of all guitar players, up an extra half step. We won't do that.
Thanks for joining us on the show, Jim.
Listen,
It's a
thanks for having
pleasure.
me. I really enjoyed it. It's been great fun. Many a night while you lay sleeping, dreaming of your amber stars, it was a poor boy, broken-hearted, listening to the winds that sigh. Little darling, how I love you, how I love you. Now none can tell. But in your heart you love another, little darling pal of mine. Many a day with you I've rambled, happiest hours with you I've spent. I thought I had your heart forever, but now I find it was only lent. Little darling, how I love you, how I love you, none can tell. But in your heart you love another, little darling pal of mine. There are just three things I wish for. It's my casket, my shroud and grave, and when I die, oh please don't weep for me. Just kiss these lips you've here betrayed. Little darling, how I love you, oh how I love you, none can tell. But in your heart you love another, oh little darling pal of mine. Oh little darling pal of mine. Thank you, that was fun.
All right. Well, we got one more minute, so you could tag a little bit of whatever you feel like singing on there.
Oh, okay. I'll do okay. That's right. Out from the wide Pacific to the broad Atlantic shore, she glides o'er the mountains, the hills, and by the shore. Though she's tall, dark, and handsome, and known quite well by all, she's a regular combination, the Wabash Cannonball. Oh, listen to the jingle, the rumble, and the roar, as she glides along the woodlands, the hills, and by the shore. She climbs the flowery mountains near the merry hobo squaw. As she glides along the woodland, she's the Wabash Cannonball. Now the eastern states are dancing.